Okay, there we go. Here we are. It's that time again. It's 2025 fantasy football season. Um, Before we kick things off with our 2025 post draft, preseason, however you want to look at it, rankings, I want to take a quick moment to introduce my partners in crime. We've got Ryan
Hello.
and we've got Carl.
Cheers.
God, what a great introduction, you two. Thank you for that. Glad we could go through that very organically. Um, as you can see, we've got what we're calling a combined ranking. So, Carl, Ryan, myself, each went through and graded everyone's rosters coming out of the draft, came up with our own ranking system. This would be the three of our grades combined into one monstrosity. As you can see, there's some ties. It turns out that grading three drafts between the three of us does not come out very evenly. So, whatever. What we'll do is we'll just kind of run through some of these teams, let you know what we think, because whose opinion would you value more than, what, four combined league champs, right? Uh, and then we'll
And then
go from
Carl.
there. And Carl. Goldilocks over there. So, there you go. We're going to present these in really no particular order. We're going to kind of work our way upwards, I guess, for lack of a better word. But we'll kind of show you grades along the way. In an effort to streamline this, you'll see I've got a timer on the screen. Going to try and keep the banter to a minimum so we could just strike on the important things and go from there. So, let's open this baby up. Coming in at number 12, not quite the consensus dead last team. Carl has very strong feelings about Joe's team, but it's Joe. Ryan had him 12th, I had him 12th, Carl had him 11th. In the screenshot there, you'll see the Fantasy Pros rankings. Fantasy Pros also had Joe at 12th. 3 out of 4 ain't bad, right? But let's pull up our timer. Ryan, you've got 3 minutes. Tell us what you think of Joe's team.
Yeah, so I think where Joe's team really hurts him, there's two major areas. It's his wide receiver room. He's got a lot of question marks in that wide receiver room. He only has one wide receiver in the top 24 wide receivers from the rankings that I went off of. And so that really kind of brings his whole group down, only having one wide receiver there in the top 24. What one would possibly consider a wide receiver 2 in our 12-team system. Another place that he's really hurting is his defense. I think we've seen in the last couple of years that people tend to undervalue defensive players. And I think I've seen that here in Joe's team as well. His defensive line, is doesn't really have any, elite guy. He's got an elite D tackle, which is going to be very useful in our new system here this year, having a specific D tackle. But then he's got one linebacker that's not ranked very high. His two DBs aren't ranked very high. His cornerbacks are decent. I do like his two cornerbacks, but the other places there that he has are really kind of bringing him down. Yes, we have Joe kind of consensusly dead last here now, but things could change. So this might be a kick in the ass for Joe if he ever even watches this video. And he might be able to take some things away from this of what he can go out and do here as we get ready for the season.
Wow. Yeah. Very concise, to the point. You saved us some time. Carl, do you got anything you want to chime in with?
Just a couple real quick thoughts. For the most part, I pretty well agree with Ryan. Like, I mean, I had him ranked 11th. It's not like I'm looking at this and thinking it's a great team. I will say I don't know for sure what it's going to mean for him this year, but I do really like the two rookie wide receivers he grabbed. I think that was a good move. I think there's some real potential in the future with that. Also, just real quick, figure touch on the trade that he made during the draft with Cody. Let's see, he gave up a the 16th round pick in this year's draft and a second next year to land Jalen Waddle. Um, Gotta say, I don't particularly like that trade for Joe. I think that second next year was real steep, basically, especially for a guy like Waddle, who's so far been kind of middling. Um, but otherwise, more or less, kind of got to agree with Ryan. Ben, anything?
I I honestly, okay, I don't think it's all negatives. I think there are some bright spots. Mahomes could easily bounce back to a 4,000 plus yard passer this year with a healthy Rashi Rice and Xavier Worthy. Kyron Williams could easily finish as a top five running back. Hell, DK Metcalf could smash with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback this year. I've heard a lot of good buzz about Njoku being a top five ish tight end. So there's reason, there's positivity, but by and large, yeah, the Cooper Cup thing left me scratching my head. Um, the defense is pretty bad. Um, yeah, it's going to take some work to crawl out of the 12th spot. So, but there's hope. There are glimmers of hope.
All right.
That's my 2 cents. So,
Yep.
all right.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, next we're going to take a look at Brian's team. Brian actually, did not finish 11th in the rankings, but in the interest of mixing things up a little bit, we figured we'd pivot over there. Carl, you had Brian ranked lowest of anybody, so we're going to put you on the spot and have you kind of justify your ranking here.
I'm happy to do it. I first off, I got to say, looking at that thing there, I think Fantasy Pros is out of their freaking minds. Um, so
7?
so yes, I've got Brian ranked as my as the worst team in the league. Like, I like his quarterback. I like the two running backs that he does have, but he's only got two running backs. Like, that alone is just a huge hindrance to any meaningful success, in my opinion. He's got an excessive number of wide receivers, 10 wide receivers coming out of the draft, and none of them. I mean, there's not like a Chase or Jefferson here. Like, this is a mediocre to mediocre with upside group of wide receivers. Like, nothing about this is special. Tight end, you see Dallas Goedert there, fine, whatever, if he plays. Like, I'm just not that excited about that. And then the defense, I don't have much of his defense ranked particularly well. Looking at ranking the position groups individually, I had him as the 11th best group of running backs, number 10th for wide receivers, 10th for tight end, D tackle, corner, and defensive backs all at 9th ranking in the league at the position group. So just across the board, I don't like this team. Um, just I just don't have much to add beyond that. Like, I like the two running backs he has. He needs more, and there's no reason to carry 10 wide receivers. There's no reason to draft 10 wide receivers. So,
I mean,
yeah.
that's kind of a theme we'll kind of run into throughout our reviews, though. Not just wide receivers specifically, but yeah, we've got some teams that have 60 linemen, and just some insane numbers.
Yeah,
I always
we
kind
don't
of
know
try
that
and
coming.
right. I do try and excuse that away as look, it's June, and obviously things are going to change heading into the season. Um, I agree.
They are going to
I've got
change,
big
but man,
issues.
you know what you're drafting,
Well, right, that is true. Um,
and
my
that's what
biggest issue
that's what we're
is
judging.
only having two running backs is a recipe for disaster. Even if you're cruising the waiver line or the waiver wire at this point in time, you really got to strike gold. Like you really have to be diligent with it. Like there's not a lot floating around on the waiver wire right now that is worth it. So, and Dallas Goddard is a bum. So we don't need to roster Dallas Goddard, right? Do we? I don't think so, but I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Otherwise, a lot of this I really rather enjoyed. What say you, Ryan?
So for me, I mean, he does have some, real solid cornerstone pieces of his team that he, kind of laid as the foundation of his team, and so that I think is why I have him ranked as high as I do coming out of the draft. There's some pieces of his team that he's just not going to have to worry about, barring injury or anything like that. That can't be foreseen at this point. So yeah, there is some issues, especially with that wide receiver room having a lot of them. But there's a lot of them that week one could hit hard and have a great game, and he can use it as trade fodder and get somebody excited about something that somebody did in week one, and he can build from there. So I think he has given himself coming out of the draft some room to come to where I have him. I mean, if that makes any sense.
So you're projecting and hopes for.
I'm saying that he laid that foundation, and he's giving himself some room. Yeah, there's a bit of a projection there, but I
Would you
don't.
throw in
Overall, I don't mind his
motivation to
team.
actually drafting a full team?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Uh, all right. So two teams in. We've got number 12 and number 10 from our rankings. Uh, yeah, we'll try and wrap this up here and check back in with another video to be determined. So thank you very much, guys. Have a good one. We'll catch you later.
See you next time.
See you guys.